President, Conference, I'm really honoured to be asked to be here and speak with you today. I have been honoured to listen to the debates, the fantastic speeches this morning, the video of the history of the ATL. Really pleased and excited to be here with you. I imagine that quite a lot of you feel a degree of sadness at being at the last ever conference of the ATL, because I have to tell you that I felt that sadness at the NUT conference just last weekend. It's a poignant moment for us. But I also want to say that I just feel a huge sense of ambition and goodwill towards the National Education Union. I feel that we are going to succeed. We can see that success happening in our current campaigns. We can see the way that can build through the sorts of discussions you're having today and that we'll have together, the success that we know that we need. I want to say to you, Conference, that the teachers we represent, the educational professionals we represent, and the students that they serve, they really need us to be successful. Because the concerns that we have are the concerns of all education professionals. The funding crisis, the workload epidemic, the mental health issues facing our young people and our teachers, the unfair treatment of support staff, the unfair treatment of supply teachers, all of these issues, the lack of any joined-up national pay system or even anything like fair pay, all of these issues really matter to our education service, and they are the centre of the concerns of the National Education Union. And I do say that I think you can see that our campaigns on these central issues are beginning to bear fruit. There's a long way to go, but they are beginning to bear fruit. On the funding question, I want to say to you that it was your campaign, our campaign, that won £1.3 billion for schools in Justine Greening's statement of last summer. That without your campaign, that wouldn't have happened. And £1.3 billion is nothing like enough. There was a £2.8 billion cut that they'd made, so it's nothing like enough. But every pound of that 1.3 billion was a pound that you won by your campaign for our schools. And every pound is put to there being less teachers cut, less TA jobs removed, to class sizes being that little bit lower than they would otherwise have been, subjects being protected that would have been lost. So that truly is your victory, our victory. And it's a sign of our growing campaign strength. And you know, it's leading to many more politicians wanting to talk with Mary and I. The National Education Union, we're finding that doors are opening easier to us, and we are meeting with politicians of all political parties, the Lib Dems, who now want to abolish Ofsted, who want to abolish Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 SATs, who say they want to abolish league tables, the Greens, who say they want to do that and to bring academies back into local authorities. We're talking with Labour and we're talking with the Conservatives. We've recently been asked by the Conservative Education Society whether we'll have a joint fringe meeting with them at their conference in October. Of course we've said yes, because we'll talk to anybody that wants to listen to what we're saying in order to advance the views of teachers, education professionals in the interests of students. And I want to say to you that those doors are opening because of our increased campaign strength, but also because we can now say we represent the majority of all teachers in the country, and we have the voice of leadership and education professionals in our union as well. And all of that is coming together to make sure that they do want to talk to us and that we are starting to see them listen to us. I would urge you to be involved in the school cuts funding weekend of action on the 21st and 22nd of April. Get your resources from the School Cuts website. Across the country, there are already many events set up where people are leafleting, having banners outside their schools, engaging with parents, so that everybody can see that our campaigns are in the interests of the vast majority of people in this country and of the students we teach. But I want to say, if there is one issue where politicians should be listening harder, it is on the question of workload. And you've heard the discussion this morning. The unfeasible hours that people are being asked to do, the impact that's having on teacher recruitment and retention. When they cut TA jobs, teacher workload goes up. It's all in a very negative cycle. And they really do have to listen to us if we are going to stop the crisis in teacher recruitment and retention becoming the catastrophe that it looks like it's heading towards. So they really do have to listen. And we think we are starting to see signs of them at least listening. And I think that is the result, again, of our joint campaigning. So Michael Gove, just a few years ago, said there was no issue with teacher workload. In fact, he wanted to remove even the limited protections there are in the School Teachers' Pay and Conditions document. He said there were no issues with teacher workload, and he refused to work with the teacher unions. Well, you see some degree of progress in that the recent video that Damien Hines brought out, in the first sentence, he acknowledges the problem with teacher workload, and in the second sentence, he says he wants to work with the teacher unions to act on it. Well, we will work with anyone to try and address the issues that matter to teachers. In fact, the video that Mary and I did jointly, I think more than anything else has promoted Damien Hines' video. But we have to say, and Mary and I are saying to Damien Hines, that fine words but are no parsnips. It's not words we're looking for. It is deeds, it is action. Words do matter, and the fact that in that video, Her Majesty's Chief Inspector says that marking is taking far too long, is unsustainable, isn't successful in terms of improving children's performance, that does matter. But we've heard words before, and our members' workload hasn't come down. So we are looking for something more than that. And we think, Mary and I think, that Damien Hines does have it in his gift to do something about teacher workload. Damien, we want to work with you. You could introduce a limit on teacher working hours. You could radically reform, maybe abolish Ofsted. You could radically reform Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 assessment. These things are in your gift, Damien. We know now that you know there is a problem, but you cannot just look for the small step. You are going to have to look for the big steps if you are going to avoid the catastrophe that is looking at teacher supply in this country. So we in the National Education Union, coming together to be the game changer for education, we want to see those huge changes. We think that Damien could do it. But if Damien doesn't do it, then we think that we are big enough to do it. We think that we can follow the example of teachers in Northern Ireland who've taken the steps that Mary talked about this morning. We think we can use the inspiration of the Durham TAs. We can talk to our members and say, we would like to consult with you about what action you would take if, after we have been so reasonable with Damien, after we've pointed out the things they could do, if they won't act, will you act with us? And I tell you, Mary and I both believe that members are ready, that they want to act. They want us to do something about teacher workload. They are crying out for their union to support them in doing it. Our leadership members are crying out for that position as well. Together, we can do it. So it's a big task that we're looking at, but we think that the National Education Union coming together can be in a place where we can force the government to do something finally significant on teacher workload. Together, we're in that place. So I want to say to you in finishing, I know that there is sadness about losing the ATL because I feel the sadness about losing the NUT. I know that when you are bringing a new organization together, there are all sorts of teething troubles. But please do take inspiration from the fact that Mary and I get along so well together. We know that we can do this. We know that you are working really well. I know that you're working really well with NUT opposite numbers on the ground. There's a lot to do in bringing the union together to those final stages, but I am really looking forward to being here with you next year in Liverpool at the inaugural conference of the National Education Union, the biggest education union in Europe, the game changer for education. Thank you very much.